Want candy? Want candy now?
What is going on, everybody? Nazdarachi coming back at you guys with another Final Fantasy Record Keepers Relic review video. Today we are covering the Type 0 Enter the Fray event. Now this is a little bit less known Final Fantasy game, and I do apologize for being a little bit late. I have been distracted by grinding out World Tournament and the Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle game. That's going on for about another 3 days, and if I don't stream any of that, I do plan on doing some catch-up work on Record Keeper here and some live streams as well, so stay tuned for that. But back to the matter at hand, we are going to jump into this banner, check out these relics. They are introducing 3 new characters, Ace, Deuce, and 9. So you have a black magic hybrid physical character, a dragoon character, and a white magic healer slash buffer. Now as we're headed into the banner here, it is going to be good to note that we do also have the Final Fantasy X Torment Dungeon available, which is also accompanied by a new D300 difficulty on that. So that's very farmable, worth checking out as well. But we're going to have a small format tweak here, nothing that should affect you guys on your end. Should help me edit a little bit easier here. Our first item is going to be the hybrid physical and magic character, Ace. It's a thrown weapon card, kind of similar to what stats you'd expect on Sid Rain's gear. So we're looking at the Jackpot Triad for Ace. 10 magic, fire, and non-elemental attacks to one target. Temporarily infuse the user with the power of fire and enter Attack Hand EX mode, which enables follow-up attacks, reduces the delay of the user's actions, and raises the user's magic a moderate amount. Now, I do find this to be a very unique and interesting Ultra Soul Break. It's not something that really stands out and makes me want to draw on this banner in particular, but I do like it. The follow-up attacks on it do look pretty cool. As you can see here, he does a very unique second attack after doing what I believe to be new abilities on the bottom there. Either that or his burst commands. I haven't quite figured that out yet. But he has those cool little follow-up attacks. I do think this is a pretty cool, unique, single target damage item. And again, checking it out here, you do have the 115 attack and 166 magic. 78 mine, so definitely you're looking at some interesting hybrid stats there. And synergy bonus only, small boost to fire damage. I don't expect to see very much Type 0, so that's not super helpful, but it is a ranged weapon. You can choose to use him from the back row if you're going to be attacking and not suffer too many penalties, but I believe his BSB has a mechanic that encourages you to keep him in the front row. I'm almost positive about that. All in all, pretty interesting item. So we do have the Ultra Soul Break Hymn of Healing. It is the Argentic Flute. So this one is for Deuce here. Instantly restore a large amount of HP to all allies, raise any KO'd allies, and restore a moderate amount of their HP, and grant them a barrier that negates attack damage up to 30% of their max HP. Basically the Y'shtola Stone Skin Bubble. So looking at this one here as well, you have hybrid stats with the 115 attack, 135 magic, and 169 mine. You're definitely encouraged to be healing with this character Deuce here. And all in all, again, this is a very good USB in terms of white magic support. It is missing the Haystega that you get and the Last Stand that you get from Yuna's USB. Now, one of the other soul breaks for Deuce does feature the Last Stand, but that's 2 different soul breaks instead of 1. So all in all, I'm going to say Yuna's is a little bit more useful, mostly because of the Haystega. Now, if you're getting a Haystega effect from elsewhere, and even if you don't have Yuna's USB, or if you do, this is still a totally viable healing USB here. And if I were to 100 gem this, I honestly would not be upset at all. I mean, who would be if you 100 gem a 6-star? But because I already have Yuna's USB though, I would prefer the other 6-star card USB off this banner if I could cherry pick. That's about all there is for this one here, so let's move on. Next up, we do have a BSB here for Ace, the Firaga RF BSB. It's going to be Ace Summoner's Uniform, so light armor for Ace. So, checking out this Firaga RF right here, we got instant 8 magic fire non-elemental attacks to one target, enable all allies to avoid one physical attack, and grant haste and burst mode to the user. The entry here is quite good with the instant 8 fire and non-elemental. That's definitely useful, so even if it's resistant fire, you'll still have the non-elemental you can lean on a little bit. And it makes me think of Furion's BSB that gives the magic blink. Overall, I would say that magic blinks are more useful than physical blinks, but this is still pretty good. It's not very often you have a BSB that on entry gives a blink to the whole team. It's really actually super rare, with Furion being the only one to my knowledge besides this one now. So we do have the 10 attack, 17 magic, and 115 defense resistance. Pretty standard for light armor. Adds minor fire resistance, unfortunately not damage, and because his other relic is synergy dependent, you're definitely going to be trying to search out some other plus fire gear for him, because more often than not, you're probably going to be using them outside of realm anyway. So, all in all, he's great for a fire team addition. I love the instant, and let's check out these burst commands down here. You have the Fire Bomb, or BOM. 4 to 5 magic fire non-elemental attacks to one target, deals more attacks if the user is in the front row, and reduce delay before hitting. So 2 cool modifiers on there. This is the one that I was talking about before. Even though he's primarily a black mage, he does have the hybrid stats, and they are encouraging you here to throw him in the front row, risk, reward. You'll be doing the extra attack, and he'll be a little bit more at risk of taking damage. So I do like it. It's got the reduced delay before hitting, and as well it has a bargain. Fire SHG, 2 magic fire non-elemental attacks to all targets, and lower the resistance for a moderate magic buff. So it's got the bargain. It's got 5 attacks on Burst Command 1 with the reduced delay before hitting. This is an amazingly good fire-based BSB right here. One of the top items, especially the top BSBs that I'd be shooting for because I need more magic DPS. Fire especially comes in handy, and I would really like this item. If you could combo this with his USB, you'd be sitting pretty happy on the Type 0 banner here. And we have a Burst Soul Break Concerto, the Deuce's Academia uniform. This is going to be for Deuce here, the White Mage and the Buffer. So the Concerto here, temporarily raise the party's attack and magic a moderate amount, and restore a moderate amount of their HP and haste burst mode to the user. This is your standout Onion Knight buff for the Final Fantasy Type 0 realm. You won't need to worry about roaming warrioring or bringing Onion Knight in any type of way if you do happen to get this. Now, it is similar to Vessel of Fate, but it is going to be much more healing oriented instead of damage oriented, but this is a good buff. It is very time tested, and the entry is not ultra powerful, but you might need that heal if you're doing some 3-man activities here. So keep that in mind, and again, I would really like Ace's BSB if I could cherry pick one, but this is not bad. So you do have light armor with the 17 magic, 115 defense resistance, and 17 mind. Very, very standard. No bonus effects, unfortunately. And overall, like I said, kind of a not ultra good entry, but you're going to need this if you're planning on Sid missioning or doing a whole lot of harder difficulty Type 0 adventures. So burst commands here, like I mentioned earlier, very cookie cutter for White Mage BSB. The Cure FF, instant restore a very large amount of HP to one ally, and Healing Melody, restore a small amount of HP to all allies. Nothing out of the ordinary there whatsoever. This might be one you're concerned about pulling if you are planning to have a fully built Type 0 team, but other than that, I think we can move on to the next one here. We have a Burst Soul Break for 9. He's going to be your Dragoon character. Unfortunately, no 6 stars for him on this banner, but you have the Javelin, very unique and original name there, and Class 0 Basher in Chief. So the crappy name on the actual relic is totally redeemed by the cool name on the BSB itself here. So for the Basher in Chief here, we're looking at 8 jump, wind, and non-elemental attacks to one target. Temporarily infuse the user with the power of wind and haste burst mode to the user. Entry here is a pretty standard Dragoon style entry. Now you might find good use of this outside of Type 0 if you bring him on a Dragoon or a wind-based team. It'll benefit from stuff like Sky High, where if you have multiple party members jumping, you get a nice little damage boost on there. And you could potentially combo him with some other Dragoon boost materia, where you get some benefits to your jumps and jump damage. So we are looking at 139 attack, no other stats, and again, another synergy bonus that we may not see for quite a long time, a small boost to wind damage. So you'll probably throw something else on him when you're taking him into other realms, but in the very, very rare chance we get a Type 0 event, that might come in handy there for what he's got going on. And overall, this is probably the item that I'd want least on the banner. The healer and the black mage are much more appealing for me. I already am pretty stacked when it comes to wind options, so I wouldn't say no to this item by any means, but again, it's one of the ones that I would like the least. You have the Tornado Lance, 4 physical wind non-elemental attacks to 1 target. It deals more damage to targets vulnerable or with a slight weakness to wind. So maximum effectiveness for this is going to come from a wind-based team where you have somebody doing wind imperils like meteor shots from Zac or Lunith if I'm not mistaken. I might be wrong about that one, but I only have Zac. The only wind imperil I have is Zac. And you can also stack this potentially with his LRM, which has a small chance to imperil wind. But if you don't get lucky and get that as well, you're really going to need to either team build this and bring it to the right event or force that wind weakness to get the maximum effectiveness out of this. Unfortunately, it does not have the reduced delay, but fortunately it does still maintain a bargain, so it is a viable BSB. Again, I'm not familiar with Type 0, so I don't know how awesome this character potentially may be, but Cyclone Blast is kind of typical. Bargain here, 2 physical wind on elementals to all targets and lower the defense for attack moderate buff. All in all, wouldn't mind having this one here, but again, it is the BSB I would probably want least out of the others so far. Next up here, we're to the Legend Materia. It is the Argentic deck, the first one for Ace here. Thrown Weapon, another card, 81 attack, 135 magic, 63 mind, no bonus effects. And the Spiral Breaker, small chance to enable the user to avoid 1 physical attack when using a black magic ability. So he is going to be doing a lot of black magic abilities. Still kind of an RNG physical blink. It's going to be on my list rather low in terms of overall rank of LRMs that we've seen. It will come in handy, but magic blinks, again, in my opinion, are a little bit better than physical blinks. And small chance means this is not something that you're going to be able to bank on. It is going to be RNG. You're not going to be able to guarantee that when the enemy's charging up a super attack, so you're going to be able to rely on this. Well, it is also selfish as well. It's not going to do anything for the team. So, not the greatest LRM. Not much else to say about it, but it is useful. It's definitely not the worst. Next up, the Feathered Cap here. A hat for Deuce. 28 magic, 86 defense, 125 resistance, and 37 mind. Got the Eye for Detail. Increase the duration of stat buffs generated by the user and their related effects a small amount. Applies to most stat buffs and their effects. We've seen this mechanic already on LRM, so this is nothing new here. She does come with that Onion Knight buff, so that's the main thing you're going to be extending that I know of for now. We haven't gotten to her SSB yet, so there may be a buff on there that this will play into also, but for now, you're looking at whatever she Roaming Warriors, so if you have a Roaming Warrior buff, use it with her with this equipped, you'll get that extended there, and then her BSB as well. There are no stat buffs on the USB, so again, Roaming Warriors and the BSB is what you're mainly looking at this with. More functional than the RNG physical blink in my opinion, so I will rank this one higher than Ace's LRM. And we have an LRM for 9 as well. This is the first banner I remember seeing that have 3 LMRs on it, but again, Type 0 probably won't be back for a while. So they're introducing 3 new characters. I guess they feel the need to flesh them out here, make them useful, hitting the ground running coming into the game. So we do have a Heavy Lance, you have 139 attack, no bonus effects, and a small chance to temporarily lower the target's wind resistance, a small amount when using jump attacks. So this is what I was talking about in conjunction with his Burst Command 1. If you do have this, there is potential for you to make good on his Burst Command 1, which requires an Imperil to get the full effect out of. So this will help make him a little bit more independent of a character, but you're probably going to want to team build him on wind-based teams anyways, so you may or may not even really need this one right here. I'm going to say this one is probably roughly equivalent to Ace's LMR in my opinion. It's not something that you need. It's not something that you're going to be able to bank on whatsoever, but it can be functional if you do get lucky and happen to have it proc, especially leading into his BSB. So again, we're going to stick with Deuce's LMR being the best one of the 3 available so far. So we're down to the Super Soul Breaks now. We do have the Academia deck for Ace here. So we're looking at the Jackpot Shot. Deals 6 magic non-elemental attacks to 1 target and restore a moderate amount of HP to all allies proportional to their max HP. This really reminds me of Blowback for Onion Knight here. And with Blowback, I really only use that in emergency situations. The damage on it's never really that great. You know, I don't know. Anyone new to the channel, I'll say this again. I personally am not a huge fan of hybrid damage and healing based relics or their soul breaks. So I can't say that I personally am a huge fan of this one. In my opinion, you will be using it mostly in emergency situations only, and that's doubly true if you have his BSB and triply true if you have his USB, and maybe even quadruply true if you have his BSB and his USB. So definitely much lower tier item here. I know it is an SSB. It does have potential use. If you happen to not get anything good for Deuce, then this is going to be a healing effect you will be able to use in Type 0 events. So you do have this as an emergency or last resort healing option here. So definitely consider that. It's far from useless in Sid mission and situations where, like I say, you don't have another strong heal for your synergy. But if you're bringing Ace to your A-team as a damage-dealing Black Mage, you're not going to really be using this one unless you are in a very tight spot. And the stats on it, you're looking at 81 attack, 135 magic, 63 mind. So again, 3-way split on the hybrid stats there. It's pretty much all there is to say about this one here. Not something that I would want to pull on this banner really at all. And let's check out the next one here. Super Soul Break Prelude, the Luminous Robe for Deuce here. So you're granting a last stand major regen to all allies and giving everyone 1 magic blink, which is effective against most spells. This is a hard utility item right here, and it's going to combo with her USB to give you almost all the effects you'd see on Yuna's USB, still missing the Hastega though. It does sub in the regen and the magic blink instead of the Hastega. So that is kind of interesting. Between her USB and this SSB, you'll have all the effects of Yuna's USB, plus the 30% Stone Skin Bubble Shield, a Magic Blink, and Major Regen. So if you have the gauge to cast both of these in combination, they actually do put Yuna's USB to shame and are much more useful. But with that being said, it does take 2 soul breaks instead of 1 to get all those effects. So Deuce can only use Black Magic, White Magic, and Bard. So you might have some problem generating enough soul break to make that combo fully functional. But if you do find a way to successfully generate that gauge, be it record materia or whatever other strategy, you will have a very functional combination of White Magic support, healing, and a lot of other beneficial effects. Definitely Deuce coming in strong as a good Onion Knight buffer, healer, and as well throwing in Yuna's USB in the mix also. I'm fond of this character and the effects that they're given right here. And you do have the 17 magic, 92 defense, 141 resistance, and 17 mind. So for a robe, kind of what we're expecting here, nothing too crazy. That's about all there is for this SSB here. Actually quite good, but remember, it is hard utility. You're not getting a heal from it. And last but not least, we do have an SSB, a Ruby Shield for 9. It is the White Knight. So we're granting Protectka, Shelga to all allies, temporarily raise their defense a large amount. I see this a lot like Strega's SSB, but just the opposite, which was protect Shelga to all allies and raise their resistance a large amount. So for physical-based situations, this is quite useful. It's a good buff to have on the team. Not going to be quite as useful in magic-based dungeons, but you still will get the Shelga. It's going to be that double stacking physical mitigation on this that's really going to make it shine, and that's why you'd want to use this. Something you'd want to use leading into battle for maximum effect, and it'll help you free up some ability slots as well. So overall, this is not bad. Probably more useful in my opinion than Ace's SSB, but less useful than Deuce's SSB. So this is the middle one right here. I probably wouldn't want to 100 gem that and have it be my only item on this banner, but if you're making pulls on this banner, it'll definitely be a useful effect. That is all the items on the banner. Because I made that ridiculous 11-11 draw, I'm kind of low on Mithril right now, so I am only going to swing this 100 gem draw, and let's see what we get here. See if we get lucky at all. I wouldn't anticipate so. 11-11 is probably about the best luck we'll ever see in this game. And no glow or anything crazy, so unfortunately we're not going to be seeing any type 0 love from me as of yet. Now, if there's a second banner, I probably won't be pulling on that one either, but we'll check that out on Sunday. I hope if you guys did pull on this banner, I know there's going to be a lot of fans of Type 0 and other people that are just really interested in this being kind of an off event, something new and fresh, that might pull on this. So if you did, I hope you had great luck, and that's pretty much it. We're kind of wrapping it up here towards the end. Sorry again I was a day late, but if you enjoy the content, please consider throwing a like on it. Definitely helps me out with YouTube's algorithms. If you don't like it, definitely throw a thumbs down on it. Just interaction either way doesn't bother me whatsoever. I want to know your opinion. If you did pull, comment down below, let me know what you got. Or if you're saving for something, lots of good stuff up and coming, let me know what you're saving for. And sub to the channel if you're new here. I'd definitely love to see you again in the future. And appreciate all my YouTube family members here. So until next time, this is Nazdarachi. Hope you guys have a great evening or morning, whatever it is for you, and I will catch you later. Peace out, y'all.